Hello everyone, Cougar 184 back here. I got part 3 here of our resin kit building 101 that we're running through here. Just some highlights of some different techniques. Like I said, go ahead and let us know below what else you guys are looking for. Today what we're going to be looking at is the homemade 3D printing and incorporating that with your builds. I know today we just launched our summer contest for 2019 on our Facebook page. Basically, what it is get an Eagle kit from Space 1999 and customize it, and then submit us some pictures. Is the basic gist of it. And then September, I'll be setting up a page for everyone to vote, and then a $100 gift card to Federation Models for the winner. If someone else wants to add into the contest, by all means, contact me. Best probably to reach us at Facebook. But anyway, I'll get into what I'm doing for my customization. Obviously, I can't be participating in the contest itself, but definitely do want to get involved with the build. So what I've started this weekend, I started the pod. The kit that I've picked was the 1/48 scale, the MPC kit that just came out not too long ago. I mean, it's been out for a little bit. What I'm looking to do is I want to make the lab version for the pod, so I've got some work to do up here. Obviously, what I did this weekend, these are just rough prints right now. Gives me the basic shape, gives me the hull patterns. I print in ABS. If you've had any experience with 3D printing, especially at home, I'm not talking about the Shapeways parts. A lot of people use the PLA for their prints. It's easier to print, but then when you get to clean up, it's a lot harder. ABS, in my opinion, sands a lot more like resin. But they are prone to layer separating. It's a fussy project or a product to print in, but in the end, I think you get a lot cleaner result, because ultimately, what I want this to be as smooth as the kit parts that I'm adding on to. I did find some parts online as far as either printing the whole lab, so can cut down on the amount of work that I have to do for scratch making or scratch building, but honestly it's not too much of a difference, so I opted to just print the lab add-on parts. As you see, I've been messing with the infill, so this was at 5% infill. What the infill is on the inside of a 3D part, it does reinforce it. So I did cut this open so it fits onto the kit. I not much of a graphic artist, so really manipulating these models that I find online is troublesome for me. So I can do straight cuts and stuff on a program. I use Meshmaker for that. Get as close as I can, print it off, and then I used to use a Dremel and cut into it. And I got this one at least glued on right now. So what I'll be doing is getting this side glued on here. Regular super glue is all I use to get this attached to. I was going to test out some acetone as well to see if that helps out, but I wanted to see how it reacted with the styrene. The acetone, it does melt the ABS too. It's a slow reaction, so what I do after I get these parts off the printer, so this one's a lot cleaner. This was a 10% infill, so I think that's kind of our magic number. I'm still gonna have to do a little bit of cleanup work on the actual print itself, and then obviously where these parts are coming together, there's quite a bit of cleanup work, but like I said, it's cuts down on the printing quite a bit doing it this way. But also, so yeah, printed the part, I cut it up, it's ready to at least be attached to the model parts. Not ready to be I can clean it up after the glue is dried, obviously. What I'm going to be using for that is just Aves Epoxy Sculpt. So like I told you on our earlier video, I believe it was part 1, that's the stuff that's a 2-part mixture. It's a clay. You pretty much have to get it almost exactly the way you want it, so when it cures, there's not much sanding. You're kind of just scuffing the surface, getting it ready for primer. These parts, I'm thinking, I'm going to see how it looks first with some primer. I brush acetone onto my ABS parts straight off the printer. What that does is 2 things. Melts the plastic a little bit, not much. I mean, if I hit this with primer right now, I mean, that's a pretty good picture right there. It doesn't look like a melted part, but what it does is it really fuse the ABS together, so that especially manhandling it and cutting it up like I'm doing right now, I shouldn't have to worry about further layer separation, and then I can get this thing cleaned up. Ultimately, what I may end up doing, we'll see here from how I go with this, is there's a product that's from Smooth On, an XT 3D, I believe. It's like an epoxy. It does a good job as far as what the final product looks like. It's a really touchy product though. You don't want to put a lot of it on, because if it goops on, it looks like a goop mess. It's really difficult to sand, or if you are sanding it, it has a tendency to pull up. But I mean, if you can get a nice clean thin layer on there, I mean, you got probably like 5 minutes working time when you work with that stuff. I might do that as soon as I get the cleanup work as far as what I'm planning on doing. Do a video on that, just using that stuff, because I mean, I've got a lot of practice with it. It's good stuff, and it also helps reinforce the plastic. I'm gonna have to get these nozzles. I'm gonna have to sand these off. I mean, it came out pretty decent. One of them's kind of wonky, but I saw some on Shapeways, and I think I'm just gonna end up ordering those. I'm gonna check around to see if there's any models for this lower piece here, and then I'm gonna have to rebuild this door. And I might as well just create a couple styrene inserts to put into here. But this is just something that you can do with, if you like certain things on a 3D model that you find online, if you do have a printer at home or have access to one at some means. It's a good, I like to use it as a good shape. I mean, it's consistent. Don't have to worry about things being different from side to side. They're going to be right on. And then, I mean, it's a good base to use from. And then, like I said, if I use the ABS just because cleaning up the PLA it can be cumbersome. I mean, if you want to look online, a lot of people use a filler putty or filler primer. I don't like that stuff because it does recess back in. There's a lot of sanding involved, and the lines come back, and a lot of what I've seen out there with that stuff is it ultimately looks like, I mean, someone took care with trying to prep the part, but it's not glass smooth like it needs to be. I mean, you get these plastic parts, these are smooth, and that's what these gotta look like. And yeah, I haven't seen it, but prove me wrong. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to be using regular super glue, at least to get this fused on here to start with. I thought about using possibly some like Gorilla Hot Glue too, to kind of get it tacked on there. I mean, between this and then that epoxy sculpt, that's gonna really hold it on there. And then if I do end up using that XT 3D stuff, that's basically like an epoxy that you're coating on here. Obviously, I'm going to want to keep it off this plastic when I get that far, but we'll go from there. So yeah, this side, I mean, I just glued up here and down here and hit some zap, and then I'm ready to at least start with my putties to get that cleaned up. I'm gonna have to fill this in up here and then add some styrene to get that pattern correct up there, but otherwise I'm pretty happy with how it came out so far, and I haven't really done I mean, I've got maybe a half hour in of work tops so far. So the kit had a nice center line for me to follow up on when I glue this on, so I make sure that that's when I was at Wonderfest, they had a product that would really help follow the seam line, so to speak. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea for this stuff, but I'm gonna be doing so much sanding on these seams anyway to get it cleaned up anyway. It is what it is. See what I'll do with the acetone, I'll probably test it on a section in here. Obviously I want it to melt the styrene a little bit, but if it like really gnarls it up, I won't do that. But what I'll end up doing is just kind of brush where the seams come in and use the acetone like a glue. Because if you're going like ABS to ABS, acetone's the way to, it fuses it, so. If you can fuse, and then if you have to glue, then you have to glue. But ideally, if you can get the material to bond to each, like physically change and bond to each other, that's going to be your strongest form. Because obviously when I get into sanding this thing, I don't want it to worry about it breaking loose. So once it's on, and after I get the clay down too, that should help a ton. But there we go. Yeah, go ahead and check out our Facebook page. I've got the contest rules there. Look forward to seeing everyone's builds. Let me know what else you guys would like to see. I will most likely be doing the XT 3D epoxy stuff with this. It's probably going to take me a week or two to get these cleaned up as much as I can before I get that far. No rush, obviously. But let me know what else you guys would like to see. Happy modeling. You guys have a great day.